His name was Gus, she said. My brother is in love. He turned 60 last year and he met Julie. Both middle-aged live music junkies, their paths crossed while in attendance at a Polyrhythmics concert. I couldn't imagine what sort of person she could be. My brother, a bit of a paradox, a deep heart, loving, loyal, kind, yet he is a devout hedonist with an unwavering commitment to alter his state of consciousness whenever possible. If you interfered with his carefully structured equilibrium, you were expendable. I wondered what could possibly penetrate that peculiar liminal space my brother inhabits so fully. I asked her if she had any kids. Without warning, she quietly said she'd lost her only child, a son, just 3 years ago. A glorious 21 years of age at the edge of his beginning. His name was Gus, she said. May I see his picture? She opens her phone, shining black Irish eyes that stunned with their light. Ask me the altitude of heaven and I will answer, how tall are you? My heart broke open and I took this woman who I'd just met but maybe already knew into my arms. Mothers of sons, we know. We know that we are all in this messy world together, and why she got her chip and I got mine is one of the mysteries. And we have to carry that. We don't get to know the answer. We just have to know. I drove home from the desert after demonstrating with the old people in the Palm Springs desert sun. It was only March, but it cleared 100 degrees by 10 a.m. Both the heat and the fact that the anticipated median age of the participants was 82.4 years led the organizers to opt for a morning assembly. Good call, I thought, as I felt perspiration dripping down my spine. What were these people thinking who settled here? And where was the spring, by the way? I've been to Palm Springs many, many times over the years, still have not seen a spring. Driving back in the late afternoon, I somehow wound up listening to a talk given by a monk. How I landed here is anyone's guess, so I guess I can guess, and I would guess that I was looking for inspiration. Watching blue hairs with their signs as they sweat and marched for a better future that they likely wouldn't be around to see was disorienting. And Easter was coming, and so was perhaps resurrection, and certainly we all could use one of those. So I settled on an Easter chat given by a lovely monk some years back. And Easter was around the bend, and he told one story in particular that took root. When he was a young monk, he'd spent the day cleaning the hardwood floors in preparation for the upcoming Easter celebration. Some other monks were visiting and had been out on a walk, and when they returned, they tromped in a bunch of dirt, and in his view, destroyed his beautiful handiwork. In great distress, he was fit to be tied when a senior monk tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Just clean it up. No big deal. Just clean it up." And the young monk did as he was told, and before he knew it, the floor was clean again. Just clean it up, I thought. Just clean it up. The sun was thinking about setting as I turned into my driveway. I'd clocked over 5 hours in the car that day, and I was looking forward to being home. I climbed out of my dusty old Subaru that I bought all those years ago to take on all the many camping trips with my boys that maybe didn't happen, and caught a breath of the guava scent from the bursting fruit tree in my neighbor's yard. The fragrance wafted through the onset of dusk. Distracted, thinking about the monk and the old people perhaps dying of heat stroke, I failed to notice my 22-year-old son and his friend on the patio. "Hi, Mom!" They were lounging on the wrought iron chairs, to the extent one can lounge on wrought iron. Not sure exactly how this was accomplished, but these boys indeed possessed the countenance of being in repose. They were lounging, smoking Marlboro Reds, 22 years old. They're trying to figure it out. That's what I tell myself. Manhood, 2026. Who knew? I looked down at the lace-like patterns etched into the surface of the matching wrought iron table. Empty cans and matches and crunched-up Cheeto bag offset a thick, translucent glass ashtray stuffed with cigarette butts. The ashtray had been my father's. He had smoked Marlboro Reds, and there ended the similarities. I greeted my son and his friend and made my way toward the front door with the monk's counsel still fresh in my brain. I deepened my commitment to say nothing of the mess, either out here or the one that was inside the house awaiting me. "Hey, Mom, can we order sugarfish for dinner?" I stopped. I checked for the monk in my head. Where did he go? Where did he go? Where did he go? And then just bit my lip and disappeared into the house, pretending I hadn't heard him. Just pick it up, I mumbled. Where did that monk go? I had a plan for when I got home. I was going to catch up on the March Madness tournament. That was my reward for having done my civic duty. I stepped into the living room and flipped on the TV. More 22-year-olds. But these men were not lounging and smoking. They were chest bumping and sweating and leaping and diving and racing up and down the court. One team would advance and one would go home. And they always cut to the moms in the stands watching their boys. And I remember watching my firstborn son sleep. He was a long, skinny baby, and I would fantasize about how he might become a basketball star one day. I dreamed about the sports hero he would be. And then I watched on TV as a mother witnessed her son miss the shot as the buzzer sounded. It was all over. That was his moment, and that would only ever be his moment, and it was done. Cut to camera on mom, who shed tears in the stands for her son and his broken heart. And I think maybe it's okay I didn't get that chip. I looked around. The place was a mess. On the center of the wooden coffee table, there sat a foot-high glass contraption with decals plastered over every square inch of its distinctly curved body. A body unique only to the ball. The most pronounced design of the colorful stickers decorating the device was that of a cartoon figure. It looked kind of like a bunny, like the Easter bunny. I paused for a moment trying to reconcile it all. My 22-year-old son, the Marlboro Reds, my father's blue ashtray, and the bunny. A bunny on a bong. I remembered when I was 22 and March Madness and Len Bias, and how his mom talked years later about how she knew he was already gone when she walked into the hospital room to see his beautiful 6'8" body on the bed that was too small, still breathing, but she knew. A mother knows. And she didn't say a word. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She didn't wail. Instead, she took her seat at his feet and placed him carefully, gently in her lap, and slowly, without words, she began to caress them. And she just went on rubbing his feet, massaging and loving as he lay there quietly, his massive body still, the body that would never leap to the unimagined heights and dunk balls for the Celtics. He was already gone. She rubbed his feet. And I remembered then how when my tiny firstborn little boy laid in my lap, the skinny, long baby with feet that fit in the palm of my hand, how I would massage them to try and keep him awake so he would nurse. My baby was a sleepy baby and he was a skinny baby, and the doctor warned me how I needed to make sure he got enough nourishment. And I held him in my lap and rubbed his tiny feet and loved him. And I thought of how Lonice Bias rubbed her dying son's feet and loved him. And I thought, maybe I don't want that chip. And here I stand, some 4 decades later, staring at a bunny on a bong in my living room with March Madness blaring in the background. I was to learn that this bunny pasted to the surface of the bong had a name. It was, in fact, La Boo Boo. My son told me this and had a chuckle over the fact that I did not know about La Boo Boo. And after a short Google excursion, I reflected for a moment on the fact that my son was so well versed in Nordic mythology. And I wondered if I should be impressed. La Boo Boo sat on the table, nestled amongst my treasured coffee table books, The Best of Life, and the massive Dutch paintings volume that my mother kept after the divorce. Both books were over 50 years old. Somehow, in the midst of these coveted heirlooms, my son had seen fit to place his ball. As I studied the tableau, something shiny caught my eye, a Rolo wrapper, actually just a piece of the wrapper, a little scrap of the wrapper on one of the 2 red leather couch cushions, laid out, almost as if in distress, was this little piece of wrapper waiting to be rescued, fleeing the scene. Let me out! I marveled. What is the cognitive process evidenced here? The placement of the bone, the remnant of the wrapper, I will throw this trash away, but not quite all of it. I'll leave a little here left for Mom. Is that what was in his 22-year-old brain? There was more. A sock on the floor, fast food packaging parked in odd places, a plastic fork precariously balancing on the edge of an end table, a 7-Eleven Slurpee cup wedged between the leather chair and the footstool. It was as if they'd been placed here with intent, a sort of constellation of debris. As I continued to survey the mess in my head, I heard the anthem, I bet Julie would trade places with me. But the anthem floats over and above and out, and I let it go. And then I hear another, ask me the altitude of heaven. And I let that pass too. And then the monk returns. Just pick it up, he whispers. I call out to my son, who is still on the patio. Yeah, let's order sugarfish. And hey, let's watch The Rookie. Come, get my credit card. Just pick it up, I hear again. And I begin to collect the trash. My plans for my solo evening drift away, and I think about the many women who would trade places with me. Julie found her son in his bedroom the next day when he had not emerged by noon. She walked in, he was already gone. He'd been gone all night in her home, and she had not known. Did she rub his feet before she called someone? Today, Julie walks the earth with one foot on the ground and one in the sky, and I loved her the moment I met her, though I didn't know why. She inhabits that liminal space, and now she gets to share it with my brother. And today, Gus roams through the rabbit holes and visits Julie at twilight, and my boys roam in the daytime, and they are all there all the time. We just have to look for them.